inspired by the whole crew members here. I usually do all the dance parties and everything. I realized that there's a core team who can focus on the AI adoption technology and all of those things, right? So kudos to all of you, right? By means of quick introduction, I know it's a long story here. Full name is Ramesh, Lakshmanan. I've been in this IT industry for close to 24, 25 years now. But rest assured, whatever I've learned 20 years ago, I don't use it today. So it shows that there's a constant reskilling required for all of us in this room when it comes to all the recent AI era, right? So we'll talk about what approach and all of those things. The second is I was also blessed to work across several of the industries. I know retail, telco. I worked at the likes of Walmart, JCPenney, Toys and all of those customers as well. Plus the telco industry with the likes of T-Mobile, Verizon, and I carry a kind of a good respect on what does industry do when it comes to AI and all of those things. Right, and having trained a lot of these customers, corridors. I will share a few perspectives. And I worked at Google, landed coincidentally with my passion and all of those things. It's been close to 3.5 years. Previously, I worked at Infosys for 19 years. Whatever I've earned, everything is through Infosys, just to give you that. And I also worked in Malaysia for close to 2.5 years, working for Maxis Mobile Telecom. I used to be a visiting professor here. This campus is really super great campus. In fact, 1 month ago, I did a case study, workshop as well with a lot of 100+ students as well, right? So this is my quick background. I'm also Wharton CTO program certified as well. Why am I here? I know we speak a lot of things about AI, right? So I wanted to give what is the overall maturity curve that is really happening in this space, right? So I'll quickly cover that as well. I think more importantly, a lot of us speak about AI. But how does this super relevant in the industry we deal with, right? Like for example, retail might have, likes of Walmart, Best Buy and all of those players, right? They perceive AI in a different context compared to what telco industry adopts, right? Compared to high-tech semiconductor industry adopts, compared to what healthcare industry adopts and all of those things as well, right? So I will share some perspective in terms of what does the industry we are talking about, what is the top-notch use cases, right? Third, which is super important, is a lot of us speak about AI, so we think AI is going to do all the song and dance on day one. That is not it, right? Because a lot of investments which these customers have made it in the recent 20-25 years, everybody is super respectful in terms of how do I practically adopt the AI. Right? So I have some approach and thoughts which I have been advising, coaching a lot of my customers as well. That's my day-to-day job when it comes to practical adoption of AI. I will talk through that. Then how does the future is really evolving? That's what I'm going to cover. And keep it super interactive. Feel free to stop me at any point of time as well. Okay. So the evolution. So this is, we all have been hearing about, hey, how do we bring in the automation? There is a concept called robotic process automation, RPA, right? Now there is a whole evolution around, okay, how do I bring in efficiency to the entire landscape, which is through AI. Then there is a generative AI, then there is an agent, and all of those things, like agentic workforce and all of those things, right? So over a period of this recent 20-25 years, that AI have given different meanings to it, right? There is a bunch of adoption around AI to bring in efficiency in the enterprise landscape, to bring in scaling. So what it means is, take an example of a Walmart, right? They deal with billions and billions of users, right? Customers like us, right? How can AI can really bring in a lot of these features here so that they can truly scale it on their business, right? Third, quality, right? How curate the content, whatever you are providing to the consumer, which is super important, right? So there is a whole bunch of an evolution that has really happened in terms of providing all of these 3 parameters and vectors to the consumers like us, right? So that the evolution is really, really advanced as we speak, right? As we speak, we started, like 10 years ago, we started with RPA and all of those things. Then AI, the regular AI when it comes to how do we automate and all of those things happened 4 years ago. As we speak, the generative AI is one of the key things that is really, transforming the market. Like generative, what we meant is, if you give a certain prompt, like what exactly Sudhin did some time ago, it creates the content, it generates the content. content in a context of text, video, imagery, right? That is the evolution that is really happening. That is the current trend as we speak, right? And how quickly you can build on all of those things, how accurate, how respectful the data is supposed to be, something which is the latest trend. That is the third boom of an AI, something which I would call it. And adoption curve, the maturity curve, there is a multiple phases of it, right? If you see this whole stuff, it has multiple dimensions of, hey, how do we bring in awareness about the AI? A lot of enterprise customers are exploring this, right? Like for example, they would have invested certain technology about 4 or 5 years ago. Then how does that investment is really going to create and value today, something which people are exploring, right? Adoption, like now that I know what is this AI is all about, am I really ready to implement this for my enterprise landscape, right? That is another third layer, optimization. Once I adopt it, how do we kind of scale it, then the transform, right? So what happens is every customers, like every enterprises we deal with, they fall under either of these 5 buckets. Like for example, you go and meet our customers like Best Buy, right, or Verizon, right? They might have certain maturity level of adopting an AI compared to pretty old some other companies like on the healthcare side of it, right? So they might have certain regulations, data privacy requirements, right? They are showing some reluctance when it comes to how deep I need to get into an AI adoption, right? So net across all of these 5 phases of a maturity curve, across the enterprises, what we see, there is a very degree of maturity. And I know this is a very busy slide. I'll take a quick attempt. So we spoke about industries, okay? Retail, manufacturing, healthcare, the high-tech OEM manufacturers, financial services, telco, media, entertainment. By and large, if you double-click each of these industries, there is what close to 550 sub-verticals within this. But I took a view of where does this really apply? So if you see this, 4 broad areas of a vertical, which is retail, which is what driving most amount of an economy in North America here, likes of Walmart, Wayfair, Home Depot, Lowe's, and all of those players. Manufacturing has some multiple dimensions in the process, industrial manufacturing, and all of those players like Ford is a car manufacturer, NVIDIA is a semicon manufacturer. Healthcare, like your Mayo Clinic, Tempus, all of these players are adopting AI one way or the other. And financial services, like your Goldman Sachs and Square. Square is a new fintech company we're talking about. CME, JP Morgan, telco, and all the Verizon of the world, Comcast, T-Mobile, Media, Entertainment, and all of those things. So there is a various degree of an AI adoption across each of these industries. And economy, as we speak, we expected to reach this to close to 3.6 to 4 trillion when it comes to AI adoption by 2033 is what we are talking about. So it means that there is a potential, everybody is exploring it, and going back to the 5 pillars of a maturity curve is something everybody is trying to see. Hey, if I am in maturity level 2, how do I push my boundaries, move to the next stage is what everybody is exploring. We'll slightly peel the onion as the next step, right? So, okay, we spoke about retail, industries, and all of those things. What is the real applicability of an AI? Like, for example, retail industry, when it comes to customer experience, and experience is something, one of the key things which retailers are wanting to achieve out of, right? Like, for example, if me as a consumer goes to their website and trying to find something, trying to search something, right? Rather than spending 30 minutes and searching what I'm supposed to be doing, how quickly we can give that search experience better, how quickly we can provide a hyper-personalized experience for the consumers through AI is something which everybody is exploring within the retail space, right? So, a search experience, conversational, then how do I bring in the right, inventory, what are the information which the store associates looking for within the store is something which consumer experience period drives for the retailer. AI is really applicable across all of these use cases. The second is an associate experience, right? Like if you take an example of any retailer, and we all use Macy's. If you go there, at least what 30 to 40 associates will be sitting in the floor serving the consumer. So what happens is, if me as a consumer goes and searches something, I don't get what I want. But if they go and consult with the store associate, they'll be able to quickly assist the consumer. How do they really do? They do have a lot of this toolkit, associate apps which they carry. Everything is powered through AI, understanding what is the customer intent, and provide the right products if the consumers are looking for it, or make an order on behalf of the consumers as well. So there are several associate experience use cases, and even in a whole, for example, frontline working collaborations, you can call it many use cases, like as Amazon shipment that is happening at your doorstep. Or it could be something happening in the warehouse where they are talking about picking, scheduling, and all of those things as well. So AI is applicable across all of those areas as well. And we will talk about how part of it, but I'm just covering the use cases. And the supply chain is one of the key things. Close to 45% of any retailer's profitability is driven by supply chain, right? So they do focus massively. For example, the store, a specific store, how much of an inventory I need to give for a specific category, right? So those predictions are super important. Imagine, you are keeping an inventory for close to 30 days without selling it. You are carrying an unnecessary inventory holding cost. And as a retailer, that is going to impact the profit margin. How AI can help in reducing the inventory cost is something which we are talking about in the supply chain space. Right? Third, modern store, meaning, I'm sure you all would have experienced, right? You go to Nike, you can bring in the Nike store on your mobile, meaning you know exactly what Nike has within the store, including the store price and inventory and all of those things, with a concept called modern store on your mobile. So it requires a massive AI capability. At the same time, it requires good amount of edge computing capabilities as well. Massive amount of data have to be processed within the Nike store to understand how do I bring in the real-time pricing and inventory and all of those things. So retail, there are multiple set of use cases from an AI standpoint, and there is an approach of how do we enable this, which we will talk about. Similarly, healthcare, touches across, kind of bringing a lot of this automated health plans, identifying the providers and all of those things, and biopharma, which is one of the key things, right? Again, all of these things have to be operated with high data protections and all of those things. How do we accelerate the complete research and discovery is something which healthcare and biopharma is super interested in, right? Medical technologies like software as a medicine device. Software as a medicine device, you go to an hospital, the provider kind of interacts with the medical device, and how do you kind of capture a lot of the data that is getting generated? Everything operated in a protected environment. Right? So the medical technologies are really in need of an AI so that they can operate in a much more precision. And ISVs, again, ISV, what we call it is, there are a lot of special software providers in this space who are building AI capabilities that can sit on top of whatever the infrastructure which hospitals have, right? So I call this as an ISV, which is an independent software vendors who are super niche in building the AI technologies. So I included that as well here. Then telco, again, it's a huge industry, if we are getting a better experience in our mobile, be it bandwidth and all of those things, it requires a massive AI computing infrastructure and all of those things, right? The use cases we all have combinations of either Verizon, your AT&T service and all of those things. And I know this industry is really evolving now. For example, if you want to go and understand about how much of a payment I need to. How do I need to pay? How quickly I can enable those payments much more quicker and faster and all of those things. There is a whole bunch of a contact center celebrating these cases, right? Then network modernization, which is super important key concept. Verizon provides what close to 25,000 B2B customers. They have to provide a lot of this concept like SD-WAN, infrastructure and all of those things. AI can help in identifying what is the optimal network route and all of those things. Media and entertainment, it's one of the key things where the new Gen Z traders are really interacting with the channel as well. How do we provide best content like Netflix of the world, right? How do you provide hyper personalized content? How do you provide the cloud gaming is the concept which is really evolving. That requires a lot of this models around what is that kids are really looking for it, so that they can AI can supplement with the right content and all of these things as well. Gaming is another key thing, combinations of media and gaming and all of these plays in it requires some AI use cases, right? Just to summarize, I kind of captured this kind of a dashboard that talks about what the top AI use cases across this retail. CPG is nothing but your likes of PepsiCo of the world, right? Financial services, healthcare, media entertainment, games, manufacturing. And manufacturing, I have a personal connection, right? Where if you go to the manufacturing plant, you will see a lot of IoT sensors, video cameras, and all of those things. All of them are constantly monitoring your, factory, conveyor belt, and all of those things. What we do is we kind of combine all the combinations of those IoT sensor data and all of those things, combine that with an enterprise process data. Like for example, I don't know if some of you are really aware of terms like SAP, Oracle, Salesforce. So we kind of combine all of those data sets to solve the problems like predictive maintenance, right? How do you kind of improve the quality of the factory floor and all of those things? So AI is applicable across all of these industries. So, we all heard about the buzzword about AI use cases, right? What is the practical thing? This is where I am super interested. So what happens, everybody thinks, yeah, okay, when we adopt AI, we will quickly get into it, right? That is not. Most of the time, it requires a massive understanding of what is the business problem you're trying to solve. Example, I'm keep taking a retail example. You go to any website, any retailer website, try to search something, but you don't get what you want. So what does it mean is your website doesn't understand what is the customer is looking for. And you don't supply the right product and inventory or store locations and all of those things. That is the second thing. And third is you don't define what is the business rule or a business configuration. Like, what is the product you are wanting to sell most, right? So you are not supplying all of those parameters in the AI algorithm, right? So basically, it has to start with identifying a business problem, then understand what is the data that is really required to have the AI working much better. So we call this as a data collection in the preparation stage, okay? And as we speak, lot of enterprises spend time on the second phase of it, right? Because there is a massive amount of data that is getting generated in the systems and processes, but those are not get organized better, right? So what we do is we spend a lot of time and educating them in terms of how do you collect the data, how do you prepare yourself so that you are mature enough to implement the AI use cases. Right? Then followed by defining what is the algorithm and model which is right and applicable for your AI. Then you will do a concept called feature engineering. So what it means is identifying various data, like you might generate millions and millions of data, but linking back with what is the business problem you're trying to solve, you need to feature engineer what is the right data to solve this problem. Otherwise, you will deal with the trillions of data, but you need only 2 gigabyte worth of data to solve a problem. Right? So the feature engineering is another feature, then followed by the training the AI model, the data what you got. From there it goes to the process, right? You do a testing, the model deployment, and you go on. So as a professional, what I do, like you all have to be prepared is, understand what is the use case, what is the problem you're trying to solve. Make sure the customer is ready with the data to support the AI project. If at all you're taking one takeaway in this entire slide, be ready with the right data for AI to work. Is the message important. Lot of use cases, but again, the future of AI in the specific industries, there are 5 key areas which we believe next 4 to 5 years is really going to evolve. One is the generative AI. I think we all heard about AI in a context of a prescriptive, predictive. Prescriptive is more of what and how and all of those things. And generative is more of building the newer content, right? Building the newer images, videos, and all of those things. That is going to play a huge role. And all the smart ecosystem. So like with a lot of this IoT sensors and all of those things that explode in the market, your smart ecosystem combined that IoT products and all of those is combined with the AI is going to really create an impact. And all of those things requires safety and governance. Like AI can generate anything, right? Like Sudhin showed one classic example of all of those things. But how do you govern the entire safety aspect of it? Whatever the AI generates, how to use it, and all of those things. There is a concept of a human in loop is being established as we speak. That is the third trend, and also combined with the human and AI collaboration as well. Then finally, there's the agent space and autonomous agents. This is the new thing, kind of a new kind of corridor now, where every processes in the enterprise landscape, be it your supply chain, be it your marketing, be it your HR, right? Where every players in this market, like your line chain, Microsoft, and everybody is exploring how agent can sit on top of each of these processes so that they can bring in the efficiency and scaling and all of those things, right? So these 5 areas are really impacting from a future of an AI standpoint. I think AI covered. Oh, that's good. 25 minutes exactly, right? So I think one thing which Sudhir and I were discussing, and in fact Sumit as well, right? How can you get prepared? Right, like there's so many things. We tend to learn. If you go to LinkedIn, if you go to Facebook, right, you get 15 ads in a given second. Like, oh my God, you can do this, and all of those things, right? My recommendation is, kind of this 5-6 points, right? Like learn Python, SQL. Those are a few basic things that is really required to understand what is this AI is all about. Second, you can take up some, courses and all of those things in the context of an AI. Engage in hackathons, and I did at least 2 hackathons in this campus, engaging with more than 100 students, that will give a lot of these practical ideas and challenges and all of those things. And GitHub or any source code tool, you keep building the portfolio of projects, right? Because when we started our journey, myself, Sudhin, we never had kind of a source like GitHub, right? So we usually build, all of this awareness kits. Now you have so much of resources now, right? Build your own projects, create, evangelize that. Then always start with the business problem, right? Like you always start with what is the one thing you're trying to solve. Then backtrack with what is the data that is required, and from there talk about trying the model and all of those things. And final one is stay up to date. Like just think about picking only 2 or 3 channels, not like everything. And just follow that, you will keep getting the latest updates. So with that, I'll take a quick pause. I will take up any questions. It went like a 23 minutes super fast, but I'll take up any questions. Good?
We keep hearing about voice AI. If we can throw something about that.
Yeah. So, see, voice AI, there are multiple use cases, right? I will talk in the context of a consumer, I will talk about in the context of an enterprise, right? So, enterprise, typically what happens is, it's all about capturing the interaction that is really happening between the customer and the agent, the contact center agent, right? Like contact center, okay? I keep picking an example from Verizon because I've worked, right? I've worked with them and quite a few other customers as well for their B2B business. They have more than 1,800 agents supporting more than 150,000 customers. They get anywhere between 1 million calls per month. So what it means is a human is attending all of those calls and responding. Most of the time, they get into an issue of not addressing the customer problem, right? So what this industry has evolved on the voice AI space on the contact center, AI is understanding what is the dialogue that's happening between the customer and the contact center person. And most of the time, AI can respond to the customer questions than a human can do it, right? For example, when is my billing due? If a person need to go and check all the toolkits and all of those things, it takes anywhere between what? On an average, a human agent takes 2 to 3 minutes to respond to such questions. But an AI agent can help in responding in 5 seconds. Second, it can also give some additional recommendation back to the consumers. Hey, you know what? If you're not able to pay for this, probably we can recommend an alternate payment date and all of those things, right? So basically, that voice AI part on the enterprise world is more of understanding the dialogue and how do you kind of respond much more quickly, faster. At the same time, they're also using it for cross-sell, upsell, and all of those dimensions as well, right? So from a Verizon standpoint, they're able to solve the problem much quicker, respond to the customer questions much more quicker. At the same time, like imagine if an agent, we need to pay what, $20 per hour. With the AI, we are talking about, if you draw an economic impact, we are talking about $2 per hour, right? So that's a massive difference we are talking about. On the consumer side of it, whatever the AI interactions we are doing with your mobile app, like your Meta has quite a few capabilities, even our Android has quite a few capabilities. That is all about providing all of the rich, interaction feature within the consumer ecosystems like us, or your smart, tools that are sitting in your house with security cameras and all of those things. All of them are voice AI, right? Like it's not only voice, it is a video AI as well, right? Combinations of voice and video forms your link, right? Combinations of your voice and video AI forms our Thomson Reuters security as well, right? So that is how the industry is evolving. But if you ask me, that part of the impact alone is what close to $1 trillion market. And we are talking about what more than, I don't recall the exact number, is what close to 150 million worth of a contact center agents sitting in the entire planet. Imagine if you're able to bring in that massive efficiency for that contact center pool alone, what's AI really? That's where, likes of your Amazon, Microsoft, Google, everybody is spending a lot of money on that. Yeah.
Hey Ramesh, my name is Sanil. First of all, excited to see an ex-Infosys. We'll catch up on the Infosys days. So I think what we have seen is most of the use cases are from an end user perspective, B2C setup, right? My question is more from an enterprise standpoint. What I've seen is most of the C executives are obsessed with this AI word, okay? And most of the time they look for these keywords when vendors try to sell it. I'm talking about the SAPs and the Oracles in the enterprise space. And what I've seen is they are present even now. They're just trying to wrap things, put a wrapper and sell it as AI. The same vendors are here trying to sell same solutions. So my question is, how do you envision this spanning out of the enterprise space? Is it like point solutions, like every function is going to deploy these AI solutions, or are you going to have one big AI model with AI agents doing the solving the problem? That's one thing. And the other thing is, how do you see companies deploying AI? Are they trying to do in-house competency building, or are they outsourcing into consulting firms like the Deloitte, and they trying to deploy these solutions?
Yeah, well, I will take the second one first, then the first one because it's a detailed one. See, how do you take it? Like, it depends on the company's size. Like, we have seen a varying degree. Like, for example, you saw me talking about retail, manufacturing, and healthcare. So wherever there is a data privacy regulations, sovereign control, your data cannot go beyond certain perimeter and all of those things. What enterprises do is, they want to control everything from a data standpoint. They don't send any data back to the cloud. Okay. So they will have their own infrastructure, they will have their own data center, they will try to process everything within that, right? So that is one category, right? Like, they will build their own models and all of those things, they will build their own infrastructure and all of those things, right? Because they don't want the data to get exposed to the outside, right? So that is number one. Number two, there are some set of a data, like within healthcare itself. Probably it can go beyond the perimeter, like for example, supply chain. Okay, so they want to know what is the market demand in the entire planet, like COVID stuff. So they want to predict, okay, in next 3 months, 6 months, 8 months, how much of a vaccination is really required. Okay, but they don't. You cannot send the data on the actual formula of the medicine to the cloud. That has to be a private control. But your market predictability on what is the demand, then how do I distribute it across these multiple countries and all of those things, that a public AI domain can do. So your data decides what is the regulations and the privacy identity. Okay. On the retailer side, it is kind of a bit of a democratized, okay, like the personalized experience I was talking about. That is an enterprise use case, by the way, right? The search is public search and all of those things, but the personalized recommendations experience is an enterprise use case. For example, if you go to Walmart.com, search something, understanding the customer intent is the key. Like, as I sit here, I do search something in the Dallas region. There is an item that is getting promoted super great here, some jeans pant. The same item is not promoted, like probably it could be winter jacket. Winter jacket, if you go search for a winter jacket, you should not be getting 20 results in Dallas compared to what you are getting in New York, New Jersey, and all of those places, Chicago, and all of those places, right? The intent matters a lot. So you have to train on those public data sets, which is what the likes of Google, Meta, and all of those provides, right? So it depends on the use case and the industry to decide who to train, what to train, and all of those things, right? That is the answer for your second question. First question, can you repeat again?
The SAPs.
Okay. So that one, see the practical, it is not like one size fits for all, okay? When we have seen the enterprise landscape, like for example in North America, okay, what we have more than like by and large anything more than 2 billion of our revenue. We are talking about close to 25,000 customers there, okay? Around 5,000 to 6,000 have them in SAP. Some of them have an Oracle, some of them have some combination of Salesforce, right? So what we have done within my company, Google, and plus in other players, there are a lot of adapters and connectors that has been written to pull the data first, right? So remember I told about your AI journey starts only on day 5, and it requires a massive preparation of understanding the business problem, then understanding what is the data we have, and the data is distributed across multiple places, right? Very first step to this AI transformation is understanding where is the data distributed across to solve the problem, what I want to solve. Very first step is connecting all of those data together. Then think about, how do you kind of train the model and all of those things. Then do I need to train it in the public domain, or do I need to train everything in the private domain, right? That decision making, it purely depends on what is the company's regulations and all of these things. Does that answer?
Yeah. And the other one, the in-house versus outsourced. Like what
in-house. See again, it's a pattern. Okay, it's a 3 parameters that decides. One is what is the if any enterprise is very design in-house or house, this is the core of their business. Have seen like Walmart of the world, more than 10, 15 billion company. They wanted to build everything on their own. Okay, but they hire some likes of our global SIs and all of those players, but they wanted to control the destiny. But if it is a 2 billion company, half a billion company, that is not their core. That's fine if somebody comes and does, as long as my company is running, business is running, it's absolutely fine, right? So it varies again, but traditionally I've seen any company which is more than $1 billion, 2 billion, they want to build on their own, but leverage the infrastructure provided by all of these players of Amazon, Google. Anything less than that, they wanted to typically outsource, but once they finish, they want to get the transition.